Inflammation is really the more problematic thing behind lameness because inflammation creates a longer-term effect on metabolism. So if you get a chronic case that this sow's been lame for a long period of time, it means she's getting more and more signals to release that are telling it to upregulate inflammation to try to get her healed up. That impacts the amount of nutrients then that are left for lactation, growth, and then even reproductive performance.
We think that there's some inflammation that's happening from a biological standpoint. There's some inflammation of the reproductive tract that's happening in sows that are high risk for pelvic organ prolapse. And so that increases their demand for nutrients because eliciting an immune response is a energetically very costly thing to do for an animal.
I've always spoken about using a flashlight in a sow herd and looking at parts of the sow such as the claws. And we see an extraordinary number of claw lesions that often aren't measured. And behind those claw lesions are often an inflammatory process that results in a significant challenge for the sow.
And lameness is probably one that is the most complex to get to the bottom of because we don't know if it's a true increase in lameness or if it's an increase of death as a result of lameness, if that makes sense. Yes. We don't know if the prevalence of lame sows was any different 5 years ago than it is today. But we do know that the percentage of euthanasias as compared to the total deaths is going up.
Indicators that tell you have inflammation. One, fever is a direct consequence a lot of times of inflammation. If you see animals that aren't eating what you would expect them to, that's probably another indicator of inflammation. Lameness is a little simpler with inflammation because they demonstrate it with how they stand in the crate, they're moving their feet, they can't find a way to get comfortable. They tend to lay down quicker than any of the other sows in the farrowing room or out in gestation if they've got a lameness problem. And so you can pick up with cues like that will tell you, oh wow, I better fix something here and try to help that animal out.
An epidemiologist would say you can identify the risk factors, look at the sow cards, and identify which sows are most likely to not perform as well. My argument is actually that these sows don't perform as well because of a pathology. That we may see historic poor performance, and if we look more closely at the sow, it may involve an inflammatory process that reduces ovarian activity. It can simply be lameness that reduces lactational feed intake.